Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry this review took so long, but I want to say real quick that I'm going to start doing drawings for my thumbnails of video reviews. No, not that AI bullcrap. Ugh, those hands. I'm talking about putting real work in. I've done pencil, Miiverse when it was a thing, and I use Photoshop to color in as well as Adobe Fresco if I want to work from scratch. Anyway, previously I talked mostly about the game's dungeons. I thought the dungeons were great, but there was kind of one or two more that I did not talk about. Heavy emphasis on kind of, but I will talk about them later in the review. I beat this game at the 100-hour mark, and let me tell you, there's a lot more to talk about, but I'm still going to keep it simple. So picking up from last time, let's resume going in the order of activities that I did. Let's see, I ended last time with the Colgera fight and oh yeah. After I did the dungeons, I did the Geoglyph main quest, where you basically find these plastered all over Hyrule, and what you would do is basically find a puddle in a specific spot which goes into cutscenes of flashbacks that happened in the past. Last time I talked about the prologue and then gameplay after, so let's talk story for a bit. Going in order of events that I got from the Geoglyph quest, it shows Zelda appearing on a grassy field and is being aided by the Zonai Roru and his Hyrulean wife Sonia. Roru is king of Hyrule here, and Zelda pieces together that she traveled way back into the past. All of the way back to when Hyrule was founded. It was the secret stone that Zelda had that allowed her to travel so far back into the past, albeit not intentionally, and is in a hurry to get back. Zelda meets with Minoru, who has a secret stone that will allow her to separate her spirit from her body. Notate that, I am going to come back to it. King Ganondorf, good to see him back, is the main villain in this game, and he aims to rule Hyrule. Gotta say, Matt Mercer is great as Ganondorf. I will say though, if you are a Zelda veteran, you really could say the story is a little predictable, but I do not mean that as a bad thing. I mean, it's obvious Ganondorf doesn't have serving Hyrule in mind here. I am nostalgic for this sort of thing as someone who has been playing Zelda since the N64, but moving on. I don't think I mentioned the Zelda sightings in the previous part of this review, but Zelda was causing trouble in the 4 regions. There was a false Zelda that was Ganondorf's puppet that tried to assassinate Sonia in the past, but then Sonia gets killed by Ganondorf anyway. Though if I'm being honest, that smile looks a bit too goofy for Ganondorf, just my opinion. Ganondorf with Sonia's secret stone powers himself up and looks a smidge like Demise, I would say, and summons all these monsters to the land of Hyrule. Rauru has no choice but to defeat the Demon King, but he also has help with sages from each of the Zelda tribes and races. The sages gain power of the secret stones. In fact, these stones were why you would do the 4 dungeons in the regions. These sages also spoke with Sidon, Riju, Tulin, and Yunobo, and now they are sages in Link's time. Zelda informs Rauru that Ganondorf lives on all the way through to Link's time. What is called the Imprisoning War also happened. Ganondorf ended up with the upper hand in the war, but Rauru sacrificed himself to put Ganondorf to sleep, so to speak, but he too passes out. Zelda sometime later comes across this ball of light in the Temple of Time. Wait. It may look like Zelda is just talking to the sword, but if you've played Skyward Sword, you know that it's Fi talking to Zelda. Is it Fi or Fi? Whatever. Fi lets Zelda know that Link is safe, but needs the sword to restore to its former glory. In order to do so, however, Zelda had to sacrifice her very being and transformed into a dragon with the capabilities to restore the sword. Zelda at the Temple of Time swallows a secret stone and transforms into said dragon with the weakened Master Sword in hand. I gotta say, despite this story being what I expect from a Zelda game, for the most part, Zelda turning into a dragon surprised me, made me go, it even made me emotional, as I certainly was not expecting that. Thus, Link becomes the last hope in defeating the Demon King. I will get to the end of the story here in a bit, but I do have a bit more gameplay to talk about first. I get the Master Sword after starting with the Korok Forest because that's where it was in the previous game, and sure enough, it stabbed at Zelda's head and I pulled it out. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of side content in addition to the main game, but I will only talk about 2 or else I'll be here all day. One that stood out to me was the skydiving minigame that rewards you with an outfit that allows you to have more horizontal movement when skydiving. There is also this extensive quest in Hateno Village called the mayoral election, where there are two candidates for mayor who had differing viewpoints on how to run the village. Both story-wise and mechanically, it was pretty good. I won't go into too much detail, but I remember having to sneak and spy on one of the candidates who is a fashionista named Cece, who has a reputation for glamour but has more simple and plain taste than what appears to be. You would also have to read the other candidate's diary, who is Reed, to find out he is worried about the farm and crops the village is known for becoming a thing of the past, and that Cece's brand aesthetic is popular with the younger crowd. This quest ends with the two apologizing to each other and working together to make traditions work with new ideas. Stuff like this is one of the reasons why I got addicted to this game. They have more effort and creativity put in than your average fetch quest. Exploring the world constantly rewards your curiosity, and none of that possibly losing rupees for discovering a secret crap like in the original Zelda and Oracle of Seasons. Ugh. There's so much to do in this game. I found it to be that I could always accomplish a thing or two, maybe more in an hour of gameplay. Of course, to some people, this feels like DLC to the previous game. I mean, the graphics are too similar to notice an improvement. It is the same map with all the main locations in the same place with very minor things changed for this game. There are some reused assets and enemies, I get it. I could not get into Mario Galaxy 2 because it just felt like a big expansion to the first game. Then again, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda. Heck, it's one of my favorite games of all time, and it has some copy-paste assets. I did find it to be that there was enough new to warrant a second visit to this Hyrule. The Sky Islands and the depths far underneath Hyrule added more places to explore. Once I did the 4 regions and got the Master Sword, I spent a lot of time in the depths where it was pitch black and had to use light sources, but could light up big chunks of the depths with these plants with lighting capabilities. The depths have gloom that temporarily lowers your max health. It is in the depths where I would learn this auto build mechanic for vehicles. I did see people have their share of fun building vehicles online, but for me, due to limited resources, I mainly used vehicles when I had a quest or a place to get to in mind. To be honest, I do like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. Do you see this battery here? That is what powers these vehicles. There are means to recharge the battery while using this, but I have a minor gripe with this. There is a way to expand your battery, but it took me a while to figure out how. I talked to a lot of the Zonai machines underground for hints on how to expand your battery because they sold the resources necessary for it, but did not tell me how to do it. This one time, I ended up using a guide, and turns out you expand your battery in one of the starting areas of the game. Maybe Nintendo expected me to notice that while I was in said area, but I would like an in-game hint like how there are other in-game hints for most other activities or secrets in the game. Or due to the size of this game, I might have missed a hint, so comment below if I'm wrong. There was also a 5th dungeon you needed to do to get Minoru as a sage, in which you get this mech from her. It's a cool idea, but I got it so late in the game that I did not use it much, and it disappoints me that her temple is just a boss fight. I mean, there were little puzzles you did before you do this boss fight, but I would have liked a full-fledged temple because the temples are really good this time around. Heck, I wish some of these shrines were replaced with optional temples and rewarded 10 of these orbs that expands your health, energy, so on. Something like that. Hyrule Castle is also another dungeon, but it's similar to what I remember from Breath of the Wild's Hyrule Castle, so not much for me to say there. Now for the final boss. Okay, I don't think this game is designed to allow you to go straight to the final boss this time around. I hope you have plenty of hearts because the road to the final boss has a lot of gloom. I started with that many and got to Ganondorf with just 3 hearts. Yeah, he was not easy to get to. And just right before you fight Ganondorf, you would have to fight all these enemies, but here you should have the sages that you helped out from the 4 regions plus Minoru. I was so sure I had fairies that healed you when you died, but I guess I did not have them when fighting Ganondorf because this dude kept killing me with wood. hit. I mean, this is a great final boss, but it took me more than an hour's worth of attempts, and let me tell you, this game was hard before this even. I died a lot throughout my playthrough, but I found it to be that the game did not set me back much after dying. The second phase is the same, but he has multiple copies of himself, which I guess is to make sure you awaken the sages, which I noticed I was not taking damage from these copies as the sages were taking care of them. Oh, and this third phase, he starts dodging your attacks, so you have to basically dodge his twice to land a hit. I only used the Master Sword for this fight since canonically that is Ganondorf's weakness. I think that's the only weapon you can use against him. I don't know what would happen if you used anything else. After so much difficulty with just 3 hearts, I did beat Ganondorf and was able to do this 4th phase, which was smooth sailing until I beat it. It was an awesome sky battle where you would ride on Zelda as a dragon and skydive onto Ganondorf and attack him. Once that was done, Zelda then turns back into a human. Even though there was a story cutscene that said that was not possible, but hey, Zelda has been going strong after so many years, and I believe it will continue doing so. How this happened was Sonya and Rara in spirit form comes to help Link turn Zelda back, and Link even gets his own arm back. Thus, the kingdom is saved. The end. I have a new rating system now where I use letters instead of numbers. I debated whether or not to give this game a 9.5 or a 10. As a game, it's fantastic. Nintendo definitely put a lot of work into this game, and what they accomplished is impressive. As a Zelda game, well, I think it's better than Breath of the Wild and feels more like a Zelda game. I decided I am going to give this game an S since it is 10 out of 10 capable. I love the exploration, the constant rewards for playing, the dungeons, the game design that lets you play cater to your own playstyle. However, after playing 100 plus hours on both this game and Breath of the Wild, I can see that open world is the future for this franchise. There are some things I like better about Ocarina of Time's formula and have thoughts on why open world does not replace that formula, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But real quick, I do not like the weapon durability system, and while there are some great music tracks, exploring Hyrule was very light on music. I ended up listening to music off Spotify because I really wanted some music when there were points where none was playing. Maybe I should make a video comparing Ocarina of Time to this game. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and take care.